Yesterday, Alec Murdaugh had a bond reevaluation hearing at which his lawyers, primarily Dick Harpootlian, famous state senator, and Jim Griffin, argued that his bond should be reduced so that he can get out of jail, and lawyers representing both the state and the victims argued that his $7 million current bond is appropriate. Now, at this bond hearing, we heard a victim who we haven't heard speak in a courtroom context before come forward and tell his story. But before he could do that, Alec Murdaugh's lawyer, Dick Harpootlian, had something to say. Let's listen to his interjection.
Your Honor, could I address a couple of things so I don't have to go after the victims that Mr. Waters just said?
You can, but I know you're going to have more to say once you hear the victims.
Well, not really, because the victims are going to, I've heard them before. It's the same old song. I won't have anything to say after the victims.
Okay.
Obviously, Dick Harpootlian is not excited to hear what Lieutenant Moore has to say, or really what any victim has to say. They're all the same. But I think that when you listen to what he said in that courtroom yesterday, you'll understand the victim's perspective of why Alex should remain behind bars. Let's listen to his story coming out of his mouth.
And I see that you're in a uniform. Can you tell me who you're affiliated with?
Ma'am, I'm a lieutenant with the South Carolina Highway Patrol.
Okay. And you are, and it's my understanding that you are here as an individual victim. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. I'll be happy to hear from you.
Okay. Your Honor, I've been in law enforcement almost 25 years. I've been to a lot of bond hearings, some of them minor, some of them major. Everybody's entitled to a bond hearing, and everybody's entitled to a bond to be considered. That doesn't mean they're entitled to a bond. And the bond doesn't have to be what they can afford it to be. It needs to fit the crime. I know Mr. Murdaugh as my attorney. I was asked to go to him because he was a good attorney. Very nice man. Always very nice to me, very cordial. Never had any issues. Communicated with him on a regular basis. But here's the problem. He treated me that nice, and he stole every dime I had from the injury I incurred. I was working for the Highway Patrol and was struck by a car and had to have 3 levels of my neck repaired. 2 levels fused, and 1 has an artificial disc in it. Now, there's permanent nerve damage. There's no question about that. And the injury is only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. So what is going to happen with me is I am going to have to leave and retire at some point. I'm not going to have a choice in whether I can stay or not because of my injury. We're talking about money. Look, we don't have to talk about all the money, but look, there's $100,000 that came from my insurance company that I'm finding out now that I probably wasn't even required to deposit at that law firm, and I was given bad legal advice. That money was never even deposited in that law firm's account. The same day that I took the check there, it was taken to another bank, and it was cashed shortly thereafter. As I said, my injury, the only reason I'm at work right now, Your Honor, is because I don't have a choice. That money that was awarded to me was for medical expenses. I've got a condition that is permanent. It's debilitating. It's only going to get worse, and it's not going to get better. So I'm going to deal with that for the rest of my life. So the only reason I'm still here working, if somebody's got a question about that, is because I don't have a choice, because I've got to pay all these monthly installment and medical bills that nobody else is paying. I'm making monthly payments, it seems like, from A to Z to everybody. And it's causing me, and it's caused my family, a lot of financial distress. And that financial distress just leads to other distresses. Now, I realize I'm a victim, but I'm not up here to give the same old song and dance, whoever made that comment. I'm not up here to just give you my opinion as far as what's happened to me. I was clearly taken. There's no question about that. There's only a couple things in a bond here, and I think they're important. As are they a threat, or are they a possible flight risk? I think the answer to both of those, yes. Financial threat. I've heard a lot of I don't knows about his money. So we still don't know where all his money is at. So if we don't know that, how do we turn him loose? I mean, he's clearly demonstrated that he does have some kind of, I'm not going to diagnose him as a mental issue, but if he's gone so far as to have somebody shoot him, that's pretty significant. That tells me you don't want to be here anymore. You want to get out the easy way. There's questions about his drug addiction. I don't know about that, but what I do know is once you're a drug addict, you're always one. If he's been clean for 6 months, it's because he didn't have a choice. If he don't have a choice. So I guess my thing is, if he didn't have money, like some people are saying, and there's so many questions about money, how does he have all these attorneys? These attorneys I've seen on TV and in the newspaper, but I couldn't afford to hire them. So how can he, if he don't have any money? If we're going to talk about money, let's talk about money. He's taken a lot of money from a lot of people. So not only has he committed crimes, but he's a very, very intelligent individual who has snowed a lot of people, including ones he worked with in his law firm for years. And people are still trying to follow the breadcrumbs to find the things he's done. Now, to talk about murder and all that other stuff, I'm not here to talk about that. That has absolutely nothing to do with this bond hearing. I'm simply talking about the fact that he has willingly and blatantly took money that he knew was not his. I can't speak for all the other victims, but I can speak for myself. When he knows that money was exactly for the expenses that I've incurred over the last 3.5, 4 years. I hope he does have money because he needs to pay some people back. But clearly, he's a financial threat. He can get out here tomorrow. He may not con me or you or somebody else. He's going to con somebody. He's got a way of getting money. He's not dumb. And, as far as he's a financial threat, in my opinion, physical threat as well. Would I be surprised if he or somebody related to him showed up at my house with a gun? Absolutely not. I think there's enough questions that his bond does not need to be reduced because all of a sudden, Mr. Murdaugh don't have no money. Well, guess what? I don't either. I can't pay my medical bills. And I'm going to be forced out of this job because of my injury. And frankly, I wouldn't even be here now if I didn't have bills I have to pay. And that has to be done because that money was blatantly stolen from me. People can argue who did that, how did that, but I can tell you right now, the check was put in his hand and it never went in an account at that law firm and it went into an account related to him, and then it was cashed. And that was on the same exact day that I gave it to him. Whereas I was led to believe over the last 3+ years that it was in an account that had to be frozen and secured until my workman's compensation case was completed, so that I would not misappropriate the money or not spend it correctly. That's what I was told. That's where that money had to be placed. It's never been there. So obviously, nobody's been looking at that. I don't have anything personal against Mr. Murdaugh. He's a likable guy. But the fact of the matter is, he's been so nice to me and so welcoming and helpful to me that if he's going to steal the money that I need to pay my own medical bills to survive financially, he's going to steal from anybody. As far as bond, I don't know how bond's calculated, Your Honor. All I can say is there's only 2 things I think is going to happen if Mr. Murdaugh is released. Is number one, you're not going to see him again. He's either going to finish the job of dying or he's going to be gone out this country. And number 2, you're going to have more victims. Those are the 2 things that are absolutely going to happen if he's released. I think he's done enough harm as it is. I don't think we need to give him the opportunity to do any more until he goes to trial. And that's all I want to say, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Morrow. I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching this video. We're going to keep you up to date on the Murdaugh story better than anybody else is. So subscribe to FITSNews.com, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and listen to Mandy Matney and Liz Farrell's Murdaugh Murders podcast to stay up to date on the latest news.